I mean, basically, we was gonna do like a hot tag, but we can kind of do it within this. So WWE announced more releases.
A
They,
lot.
they didn't do it Wednesday, but they released a lot, and it was primarily NXT focused. They've already fired one of the new writers that they just hired. If I forget any names, remind me. But Killian Dane has been released. Brazungo, yes, both of them have been released. Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Tino Sabatelli, which his was unique because he was fired, then hired, now fired again.
Yeah.
Marina Shafir and Arturo Ruas, which was interesting because both of them were supposed to be part of Diamond Mine.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Arturo Ruas has said on the podcast that he was originally supposed to be a member, and Marina was supposed to come in a little bit later as like a female enforcer.
Interesting.
So both of them has been released. August Gray and Kurt Stallion have been released. The Bollywood Boys or the Singh brothers have been released. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody.
It was like half of 205 Live.
Everrise. We will officially address them properly. Everrise has been released.
That's unfortunate. I wanted something to hate on NXT. I mean, we got the Diamond Mine, so
Tony Nese, Arya Davari, they have all been released. And I want to say that might be it. I might be forgetting one or two names, but it was a lot of people.
Yeah, I didn't realize Tino Sabatelli was actually released.
Yeah. He was kind of one of the ones they kind of, I guess, quietly did. And then, too, in Killian Dane's case, he got the phone call while he was actually working out at the Performance Center.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shitty.
Yeah, he was actually working out at the Performance Center and got the phone call that he's been released. So of course the conversation, Mr. Deasley, which was what was the topic was going to be?
As far as for hot tag, yeah, basically, are these releases getting out of hand? Now, of course, you have the whole talking point of budget cuts, and you know a lot of fingers are being pointed at Nick Khan as far as throughout the community, and you have WWE playing damage control, stating that he wasn't a part of this, and it's weird because I find that very hard to believe, especially when you state that the reason for these releases are budget cuts. Mm-hmm. So now on top of that, with that, my thing is this, is that if you are concerned about the budget, then why is it that all of these competitors that you are releasing still have no compete clauses? Because you still have to pay them during those 90 days. So it doesn't make any sense. It's like, if there are budget cuts, then the non-compete should be null and void. You should allow them to just go. Well, it should be optional, so to speak, because you never want to sit there and say, you know what, hey, you're done, get out of here. But if there should be an option where it's like, okay, do you want to just forego the pay and just abolish the non-compete, or do you want to continue getting paid through your 90 days?
Yeah,
but they're not getting that option, and that doesn't scream budget cut-ish to me. On top of that, I'm pretty sure if I'm not wrong, 2020 was their most profitable year.
It was, and between the Peacock deal, and between the
Fox
government
deal,
and between the government funding that they got, they made a lot of money.
They got government funding.
Yeah, they did.
Got government funding.
And you have Nick Khan being the one that did the Fox deal, did the Peacock deal, and both were $1 billion. a piece. So that's a lot of money. So you're telling me that all these people that have contracts and all the releases that have happened between this weekend and the previous Black Wednesday or Black Thursday
all year.
Yeah. So how much money are you trying to conserve, especially when you have Eva Marie coming in with a new contract? You're able to employ new writers, which we'll definitely get into that in a second too. I'm not really understanding
I honestly think, because I did see an article that Nick Khan was saying, if you want to put the blame on him, that's fine. He's willing to, take whatever responsibilities for these recent cuts. The biggest issue about the cuts, because let's really truly talk about it. The cuts are and aren't the issue, because we've seen many companies do things like this before. We've seen companies, hey, they're restructuring, so they fire umpteen employees. The issue to me personally is not the cuts. The issue to me was y'all sat there and tried to hoard all of these wrestlers.
Yep.
And now when it's the realization that, we really didn't need all these people. So, that was the main issue. The fact that y'all tried to hoard everybody. And now, y'all was toying with people's careers in a sense, because I ain't gonna say it's almost like a paid hostage situation. So y'all sat there and hoard all these people, didn't do nothing with them, and now it's like, y'all can go now.
Basically.
Not only that, you're keeping them from getting paid elsewhere for 90 days.
And that's it.
This whole situation, and of course, I'm never gonna go back on what I said before. Just like I said previously, I said, if you're not gonna use any of this talent, let them go and do what they love, and I still stand by that. But just to piggyback off of what you said, Scoot, the whole deal of just them trying to purge the indies and just take all the talent so that way nobody else gets them is just completely nonsensical, especially when you think about everything that they've done with the people that they've acquired. You have more people sitting in catering and on the bench and on the sideline while they continuously use the same people over and over and over again. Case in point, Raw. Raw is the biggest outlier in all that, because of the fact that rematch after rematch, they're not pushing any new talent, and any talent that they do try to push is used as enhancement talent for squash matches.
Yeah.
So it's just, why'd you get them in the first place? I don't understand it at all. And it's easy to blame Nick Khan, obviously, but I think the whole company as a is at fault. Like they're just, and you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna dive into it now.
Yeah, go ahead and dive into it. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So yeah, this writer that if I can pull up her name, because I think it's
Kenise. I forgot the last name. I know it's like Kenise something.
Oh, Kenise Mobley.
This man's credentials.
Kenise Mobley. Okay, so now I'm not gonna be mad at her. In certain cases, I mean, there's part of me that's mad about her not doing the necessary research.
Yes,
and I looked at that portion of the of her podcast interview.
Well, hold on, Jaeger. Do you know what happened with her or why she got fired so fast?
No.
Okay, well, she was one of the new writers that they recently hired like 2 weeks ago, and she recently did a podcast saying about how she was hired on WWE, and then she was like, "I'm not really too familiar with the product, but since it's basically treated as a TV show, that's why I was hired. And she said, yeah, I think the world champion's name is Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley. She was like, I really should know this. And I know he's like, I know he's like the big black guy that wears suits and he's with a group called the Hurt Business or something. So basically, yeah, she ousted herself on this podcast.
She outed herself that she knew nothing.
And she was cut before she could probably even put pen to paper.
Yeah, she ousted herself and she ousted the company because even she had went on to say that, that they even said that she didn't have to have any experience as far as or knowledge of the company or professional wrestling. And, even the interviewer the interviewer had some knowledge of wrestling, not much, but he had some. And he even asked her questions about, you remember this? And she's like, no, I've never watched the product, nothing. She didn't know about this, know about that, anything. And
hey guys, you want to go apply to be writers?
Yes.
We could.
Because apparently anybody can.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's probably gonna change now, but
damn well better.
The issue about it the only issue that I have with her is just how nonchalant she was when she talked about it.
Yeah,
I'm not getting mad at her for taking the job and being employed, but the way that she came off, like she didn't seem like she respected the business at all,
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my issues. Now, as far as WWE being ousted by her, this her removing the veil. This is the reason. Like the universe did this. She was put in a position where she completely unveiled the elephant in the room when it comes to WWE, because we've all criticized the creative, the writing, the character, just all of it. And this is why. Because they hire people that have no knowledge of the company, no knowledge of professional wrestling, and are put in positions that's supposed to captivate people who have more knowledge than the people that they employ. And now WWE went on to say that she wasn't let go because of that. They said she was let go because, and I quote, internal concern. Yet she was not let go until this controversy came into play. Once people started, once the backlash happened, automatically let go. So how is it that this interview happened, but at the same time she had internal concerns? You just hired this person. You literally just hired this person. So if there was internal concerns, then that would mean that you wouldn't even take the time to employ somebody like that, because it doesn't make sense, because you do background checks on everybody, I'm assuming.
Right.
So something should have been a red flag before you said, hey, I'm going to give you this contract to do this job. So to me, the only thing that could have been the case in this is the fact that she outed your company for employing people that don't have any experience or knowledge within the business.
Doesn't watch the product.
Nothing.
Doesn't know the champion's name. The big black guy with the suit.
Basically.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I remember Freddie Prinze Jr. when he did the New Day podcast. They asked him, how did that happen of him becoming a writer? And he was basically saying, like, it literally, from the way Freddie Prinze Jr. made it sound like, he made it sound like, in a nutshell, I was at the shows. They was like, hey, come backstage. They want to holler at you. Yo, we know who you are. You want a job? Sure. That's kind of like that's kind of literally, in a nutshell, seemed like the way he got hired as a writer. But luckily, it was twofold for him, because he was also giving them acting lessons at the same time.
Yeah. True.
But for the most part, it just seemed like they just recognized who he was. Hey, you want a job? Okay, let's do it. So
yeah. But the good thing on him is that, he actually had interest in the company as well. So he knew what was going on. So, I mean, I put him in the same category as, like, David Arquette. David Arquette has a love for professional wrestling. Now, WCW stuff aside, with him being champion, legit, you know, whatever. But, you know, with this situation, yeah, there would be no point where I would look at this situation and be like, you know what? I respect Kenise Mobley. You know,
In
not
this
that I
situation,
no, I mean not that we would even have a chance to.
No disrespect to her as a person,
Mhm.
but she was definitely hired for the wrong job.
Well, I think personally, I respected her because she was a black woman, and you know, to get a black woman in there, okay, let's see what she could do. But literally, to have zero knowledge,
Zero.
you know, to be slightly controversial, which I'm gonna take a little bit from Yeager thing. To be slightly controversial, you know, that's like reality stars becoming president. But you know, but yeah, like, you know, could she, like, it was like, what, could you name 10 wrestlers and boom, you got the job? Like, what was the like, really, like, what happened here?
And how are those 10 not Bobby Lashley, or at least one of them is?
I don't know.
I mean, my thing about it is that, you know what, like, she could have easily treated this like how Disney and MCU treat their stuff, you know, with how they do Marvel movies, is that she could have faked it till she made it. And I mean, and now this is where it's her fault. She could have just easily said, you know, yeah, I just got hired by WWE as a writer. Bam, that's it.
Yep.
And that could have been where it stopped. She didn't have to out herself as far as, like, you know, hey, I don't know this, I don't know that, whatever. She could have just easily said, you know what, I'm learning more about the product now, you know, that I ever knew before, which is not a lie, because if she didn't know if she didn't know anything, then yeah, that's true. That's a very true statement. I'm learning more now than I did before.
Yes.
Completely simple.
Could have gotten a little political with your comment, with your statement.
Absolutely. You know, and then she could have went about her day, and she could have been hired, and she could have actually probably done some good. You know, who knows what she could have come up with? She could be that much of a creative person. But between her and WWE, everybody's wrong in their own right within this situation here. So, yeah, hopefully this is a learning experience, not only for her, but mainly for WWE to get their ducks in a row. Now, I would hope that with all these releases that's going on, with all this cleaning house, that they're doing this for a reason that's going to make the product better.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case, because I truly think that things are only going to get worse as this year progresses. But, you know, stranger things have happened.
Well, I mean, and let's truly be honest with you. With any company, no companies tend to kind of change until the competition ramps up. So personally, I don't see WWE changing too much, because once again, they're still getting roughly 1 million views per Raw and SmackDown. I mean, let's just take NXT completely out.
Yeah,
Raw and SmackDown is still getting million plus reviews. I mean, not reviews, million plus views. The YouTube is getting hundreds of thousands of clicks per story segment. So obviously, why change? Why fix what's broken?
Yeah. That's the worst part of it, is that it's almost like somebody who's oblivious to their wrongdoing, like they can't take accountability because they can't see it. And that's the position that they're in, because, you know, yeah, they can hear everybody talk shit about the quality of the company, but the metrics and the statistic and the analytics of it show different, which is very sad. So, now, of course, we'll definitely get into the competition in AEW later on, but yeah, that's going to be prime example, because I think personally, with the way AEW is going, they're in an upward trajectory, especially with a lot of the changes that they've made recently. And I talked about it last week when we talked about Dynamite, but and they're starting to completely double down on that progression and what they've implemented so far. But as far as these releases,
Brazongo, like Tyler Breeze, the man who was helping other people back there sharpen their skills. Tyler Breeze. You let Breeze go? Fandango, who's been there since 06, you let him go? Like, what? I mean, some of the other talent, don't get me wrong. I mean, no, we was not favorable on Everrise, but they were needed to be there for a comedy aspect.
Listen, I will say this. I will say this. So in terms of Everrise, Matt Martell and Chase Parker.
He said their names.
And I was saying this over the past couple weeks. They were going to end up being that meme tag team that everybody started to come around on, which that was the case. That's what they were doing. Yes. Good work. You know, my biases aside, they were doing good work, and they were putting themselves in the position where they were going to get themselves over, whether anybody liked it or not. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, usually that's what you would think would be the driving force for them staying there, because that's been Vince McMahon's thing from the beginning. You know,
right? What
can you do to get yourself over? Can you get the crowd on your side? They've done that. So if you're doing what the big man wants you to do to get over and it's working for you, why then would you be let go if you're doing what you're told? That's what I don't understand. So that's why a lot of this is nonsensical, and the fact that they even say that it's not Nick Khan has me believing that that's completely opposite, because I'm seeing people.
I 100% think it's Nick Khan. Honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, Jaeger, I don't know how familiar you are with the WWE games, like the ones that was on PS2 and all that. I'm pretty sure Mr. Deasley is
familiar with them.
It's just like going back, like with Woods and Breeze, which I'm a spin off on that situation too, about up, up, down, down, because that's still a question mark. It's just like going back and playing SmackDown 06 and SmackDown 07 with GM mode. I wouldn't be surprised Nick Khan is looking at the roster, looking at how much they get paid, probably looking at how long they've been active, what they've been doing recently, and he's probably literally scanning these sheets and being like, you know what? Do we really need Aleister Black? Like, he just came back. He wasn't really used. Yeah, Strowman was a big guy. Do we really need him? Yeah. Do we really need Lana? I mean, we didn't got the usage out of her. Do we need Lana? Do we need Buddy Murphy? He wasn't really doing much right now. Do we need Everrise? Do we really need Brazongo? Like I say, he's just literally going on the list. And I'm pretty sure there were people who was like, maybe we should keep some people. Because I'm pretty sure Trips was probably like, I probably think we should possibly keep. Well, once again, if it goes over your head, it's over your head. And Nick's composition is technically over Trips' head.
Yeah, how new is Nick Khan to this, though?
Nick Khan got the position back in August.
Yeah.
In August.
He became the president.
And how does somebody with as much experience as Trips not a valued opinion?
I mean, that's it's office politics, man. I mean, they probably don't view Trips as high, because you got to think about it. It's like everybody's clicked up. You got people that's within the trenches of the company, those who used to be wrestlers and now get office jobs, and you got people that's already been in the office, and it's like they look down on anybody that would come in elsewhere because they've already got their standard day-to-day deal with the people that they're familiar with. So that's how I would look at it. But I'm glad you said what you said, Scoop, because then that raises an interesting question. And that's, does Nick Khan consume the product? Because, if you think about how we come on here and we talk about 205 Live as if it's not a thing or completely irrelevant, and you look at this list of releases recently, and it's the majority of the 205 Live roster.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're looking at 205 Live, which I haven't really watched it in a while,
Same.
Nice, Davari, Gray, Stallion, sometimes Everrise. They were mainstays. Oh, and the Singh brothers. They were mainstays on that show.
Mhm.
So, because with Mansoor being promoted to Raw,
Yeah,
I don't know who's necessarily still left on 205 Live.
I think it might be. I think after this recent release, it's got to be less than I think 5 people, and that's including Brian Kendrick, who is a producer on SmackDown.
Unless they're about to start retooling completely 205 Live, if they don't get rid of it, unless they start retooling it to have people like Ashanti, Carmelo Hayes, who was the guy who debuted against Kushida last week?
Oh,
So,
I completely forgot.
Yeah,
Same.
unless they start retooling this and maybe even featuring Kushida on 205, like unless they about to really bring in a new crop of people and start featuring a lot new talent, I don't see 205 Live staying alive too much longer.
Yeah, no,
They may,
there's only 5 people on 205
Yeah,
Live.
see?
they may just dismantle 205 Live
Yeah, I think they're going to
completely.
dismantle it.
Yeah,
And,
they might as well just put the just put that roster on NXT just permanently.
I'm pretty sure that's probably going to end up being the thing. And then too, kind of like what you're kind of hinting at.
Oh, they're just gonna
I
make an
wouldn't,
enhancement talent.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Khan just has a sheet full of names, and there's probably another sheet of the untouchables. Like, don't even think about touching these names, but these names are free to go.
True.
These names, you could do whatever, we could reevaluate, but these names here on this list, don't even look at that. Don't even look at that one at all. Just these names here, which of course, people like Roman, Edge, Seth, all of those people. But yeah, Drew and Bobby and New Day, but this list here, we can play around with this list and see what happens. And I'm pretty sure probably the same thing happened with NXT. Yeah. This list here, you can't touch, but these over here, you can figure it out. So, and because I even thought about it when I saw the picture you sent to us, Lip. And the thing is that it's not the releases that bothers me with WWE. It's like the implication in the way it sounds. Because I mean, like I said, people get let go and people get fired all the time from different companies. But for some reason, it just seems evil with WWE. Like it just seems like it was so mean. And I honestly think a lot of that probably has to do with that whole talent hoarding they were doing.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to understand, especially with what they were doing, especially once AEW became a real thing to them. They were extending people's contracts for an exorbitant amount of money, just to keep them there, and you got to think about, especially with the Good Brothers, when they decided to stay for a lot more money and then got released. It's them, especially with Vince, just throwing money around to keep your toy box full, and not really using anybody. So from that perspective, I can't be mad at Nick Khan for wanting to be like, okay, you know what? I have all these shareholders, on my back trying to say, okay, where's all this money going? Why is this? Why is this? What's happening? And then him trying to make sense of it and be like, okay, that's business. I understand that. But I mean, come on. It's just so out of nowhere. And it's like they're not doing anything to make sense of it, especially for, I mean, you got to think about like a TV show, because I mean that's what they are. They're a TV show. If you had something like, Supernatural happening, on CW, and you had, both Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, and they said, you know what, we're gonna fire Jared Padalecki. and you say, okay, you know what? You got Sam and Dean, but all of a sudden Sam just disappeared. You're not just going to have him just disappear and just carry on with the show. You're going to write him off in the right way. So that makes sense.
It's very wild that you brought that up because Jared Padalecki had just came out and said that he's hurt about the supernatural prequel series that's coming out.
Oh, he's hurt about it?
Yeah. Jensen Ackles is still a part of it. He's going to be the narrator.
That's right. My bad. It's the other way around.
But Jared Padalecki has no involvement in the show at all.
They didn't even ask him to be in it. Like,
they didn't talk to him about it at all. So that's very coincidental that you just used that as as an example with that kind of just now coming up for real. But yeah, I mean, like, okay.
Speaking of hurt involved in this, I just earlier was watching from Reddit. They got Adam Cole, like, when he got the news about Breeze and everybody getting released. Like, it's on his live Twitch that's still up. I'll send y'all the link later. But like, he takes a minute. Like, he stops playing the game. Like, he was like in the middle of like fighting in Hollow Knight, and then I don't know, he died or something. But from the timestamp I watched it on, he's just chilling there and he's like checking his phone. His phone's going off. He looks at it and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, guys." And you like see the look on his face, like,
well, now let me spin off with that. This brings up, down, down, because I'm pretty sure there's some key people that are on BTE that if they got fired from AEW, it'll be like, what the hell is such and such it?
Yeah.
So in Up, Down, Down's case, Breeze was always a very integral part because him and Woods are best friends.
Right.
Yeah. And what Up, Down, Down did, they eventually started factions. Because they
made a left, right, right?
And then you had the other group, BRE Start. And BRE Start was the group started by Mia, Jessamine, Shayna, and Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Now, Jessamine hasn't been on since she got released. Breeze, he does Battle of the Brands with Woods every week. He does Uno every week with, they call themselves The Party, which is Woods, Breeze, Cesaro, and Cole.
Yeah.
And he was in the left, right tournament because now they're going to turn the left, right title into a separate title. So I want to know how Woods are going to try to work out keeping Breeze on the channel because his absence will be noticeable.
Yeah.
Because he's so in the mix with so many things that if he's just completely written out, then it's going to be like Wood's going to have to literally retool Up, Down, Down.
True.
How much involvement does WWE have with that?
Oh, so apparently I wanted to tell y'all on another podcast, according to Woods, WWE owns 100% of it.
Yes.
A person asked him that on Twitter.
Wow.
And he said WWE owns 100%. They always had.
Wow.
So I don't know how it's going to work out with Breeze because, like I said, he was the leader of left, right, which consisted of Breeze, Cesaro, Cole. Technically, Tegan Knox and Dio Madden was part of left, right too. But he was part of that faction. He has two other series within Up, Down, Down. So I don't know. So that's why Cole took that break, like you said, because especially with Breeze, he's so intertwined in that channel that now it's kind of like, oh shit, what the fuck we gonna do now if WWE doesn't allow Breeze to stay on this channel?
True.
Because I mean, let's face it. Breeze can't stay on the channel after 90 days and he gets hired by AEW or he gets hired by Impact or something.
Yeah.
So they might let him ride out these 90 days. Then after that, Up, Down, Down could be looking mighty different in a few months.
that's another thing. You know, speaking of that, because I mean, again, to piggyback off everything that we just talked about, still within 90 days, you're still getting paid. It's like you can still take this time to use them to write them off the TV, do some type of storyline, and have do things to kind of just tie up.
Give them a proper send off.
Exactly, and I don't understand just that business aspect of it because of the fact that you're still paying them. So it's like, why pay them to just sit at home when you could be using them while you're paying them? So, especially when it's them doing their 90 to, you know what? I just realized what it was. Because, see, if they use them and they get themselves over doing that 90-day compete and they go from one show to another once it's over, then in their mind, it hurts them.
Yes.
So I get it. They're using it as a palate cleanser. So that way you get the taste out of your mouth and you don't think about them. So that when they pop up somewhere else, they don't have that rocket behind them. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I answered my own question, so never mind.
Yeah. So like I said, so I don't know what's gonna happen in that case with up, down, down. But yeah, these releases, it sucks for the most part because to keep referencing it again, y'all was doing all of this hoarding of talent. But then now it's like, we really don't need y'all anymore. And then to even mention AEW, this keeps putting AEW in such a weird box.
Mm-hmm.
Because in between all the talent that was released this year, they can't become the company that keeps taking everybody from WWE. But what sucks is that these are talented people that are coming from WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they can't turn into WCW Junior or TNA Junior. So they're going to be in a unique position with all of these recent releases and cuts.
Yeah,
I think we need to I mean, I was a proponent of this myself, but I'm starting to lean towards the thought process of getting rid of the idea of looking at ex-WWE and then going to different companies as, taking in WWE talent or becoming the new WCW 2.0 or TNA 2.0.
I can agree
we
with
should
that
probably start seeing them as people, like we just called them, people with amazing talent that deserve a job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And where else to do it besides, like, I guess you could call them now WWE's #1 competitor.
Yeah. And I can see it that way too, Jaeger.
Or New Japan.
And you're right. We probably starting today, we should see it that way. But there's going to be so many people in the IWC who's going to be like, "Oh, you're WWE's throwaway. What makes you think you could be a big name in Impact, or what makes you think you could be a big name in AEW?" So that's the problem.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. If AEW keeps bringing in talent that's not necessarily great, then that's a problem.
Yes.
However, if there's people with great works, great gimmicks, and can get themselves over, then fuck it. Like, I don't see a problem with bringing them on.
And and let's really get into quickly into this deeper issue. The only reason why Impact and WCW messed up was because they was bringing in these X stars and straight pushed them to the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moxley was the only one who got kind of lucky because he started with the company early.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So we knew eventually Moxley was going to be at the top of the mountain at some point. Miro is showing that why he should have been where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like who else? It's not like Ty Conti became women's champion.
Yeah, and that's the thing that AEW is doing right, is that everybody that they have brought in, a lot of people are missing that too. Everybody that they've brought in from WWE, they haven't really pushed to this top. They've actually made them better than they were and actually utilize them in a way that WWE probably should have. So I mean, even with Christian, somebody that we thought he was going to be somebody they would have elevated to the top, but they're using him in a way to where he's, side character.
Mhm.
Now it may change with what happened, on Dynamite, but that I don't have a problem with it. But even with what's his face, Cesar Bononi, big guy, could be utilized, still kind of green, but they have him in a situation where he's with people who, for lack of a better term, are an enhancement talent stable.
I was gonna say, I know you don't want to use the J word, but
yeah, I don't want. They're not the Job Squad. They can never be the Job Squad. Shout out to Blue Meanie.
Hey.
And his that was my shit. That was my shit back in Attitude Era.
Hell yeah, just
all day.
Like I said, I mean, at this point, I guess it's starting to turn into a weekly situation with them. Like, honestly, like they on some Dragon Ball Z shit where you got to tune in next week to figure out. The thing is that
who will get released next?
Exactly, because it's starting to turn more into a not tuning in to watch the product, tuning in to see if your favorite stars is going to get released.
Basically,
that's what it's kind of starting to tune into now.
Even like when it's like Survivor. A week or two after they just wrestled.
Even worse.
You know what? No, it's like Game of Thrones,
right?
Oh no,
it's like every week is a red wedding,
right?
Oh,
every week. But hey, I would just say good luck to all those talents, and we'll see what happens with you next.
Absolutely.
Hello.